Well, Kenyans living in the Washington area are closely watching events in their homeland, and viewers Laurel Bowman caught up with some of them. Laurel, welcome.
Thanks, Vincent.
And tell us more.
Okay. Most Kenyans living abroad were not allowed to vote in Monday's elections, even though Kenya's new constitution guaranteed them that right. But they're still watching and waiting as the election results trickle in.
That peace and our unity as a nation is the most important and critical aspect.
Son of Kenya's first president, Uhuru Kenyatta, and Prime Minister Raila Odinga are the two men left standing as election results in Kenya stream in.
We are going to win these elections in the first round.
Monday, voters turned up en masse for the elections, which will not only determine Kenya's next president, but also many senators, governors, and women's representatives. It's an important vote, the first following the final draft of Kenya's new constitution. Members of Kenya's diaspora here in Washington are watching the election results closely.
We have to get this right. If we can get this right, then Kenya and the rest of Africa can be proud of what we have achieved.
We met Mwangi Chege and Atieno Odor at Johns Hopkins University School of Advanced International Studies, where they both have studied. What are their hopes for the next president?
Just pushing forward the economic development. If we can continue on the path that we've been in over the past 10 years, that will be great.
The biggest thing with Kenya right now is really national cohesion. Kenya is divided ethnically. They hope that whoever is the president will communicate strongly, verbally, and also through their action that he's a president for all Kenyans.
And who would these two have voted for?
The person I was rooting for, I would say, was Peter Kenneth. I think he wanted somebody, personally, I wanted somebody who has a very strong development record. He wanted somebody who's focused on issues, so people who can actually unite the country. People are not seen as being tribal.
Many young Kenyans supported Kenneth, who has since conceded. And speaking of tribes,
I'm Kikuyu myself, and I think for a long time that we've held on to the reins of power. Yeah, so I think it's time we should not see the presidency as our own.
Chege supports Odinga of the Luo ethnic group. At the Swahili restaurant in Beltsville, Maryland, election talk continued through dinner. Student Chief Canaro had a lot to say. Mainly, he was disappointed at not being able to vote.
Those of us in the larger diaspora, the US, UK, Australia, United Arab Emirates, we are disappointed because we expected that we could be given the chance.
Margaret Kamba was just plain proud of her fellow Kenyans for showing up at the polls and voting.
It was a lot of peace, which really I really like, and I thank God for the peace that's going on there and the democracy that they are portraying.
Well, and now we are happy to turn to you. You had quite a good time there. Now tell me, first, what did they tell you about their feelings regarding not being able to vote in Kenya?
Well, it was a mixed bag. Some people understood that the resources here really needed to be on the home front. Security, counting the vote, making sure that the process goes smoothly since there was so much violence last time around after the election. Yes. However, many others were angry because the diaspora, many members of the diaspora feel they give so much money back to Kenya in terms of foreign exchange, and they don't have a voice. One man said to me, it's really like taxation without representation. We pay, but we don't get a voice.
Well, and that was the other issue. The leading presidential candidate, Uhuru Kenyatta, and his vice president, presidential running mate, they are indicted by the ICC. Did they tell you anything about this, guys?
Oh, yes. They talked a lot about that. Some people I spoke to understood that it could be difficult if Kenyatta wins, as the court process unfolds while he's ruling, going back and forth to The Hague or Skyping The Hague. But they don't really care, yeah. Which was interesting. There's the sense that the ICC tends to go after African leaders and might have even given Kenyatta a boost.
Yeah.
Because Kenyans were saying, you know what, you Europeans, you're not going to tell us how to vote.
Hey, wow.
We want Kenyatta, he's ours.
They made it a domestic issue. We know. Thanks a lot, Laurel. Thanks for joining us
Absolutely.
today, Laurel Bowman of the Voice of America.